Would you pray with me for a moment, please? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts be now and always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. It's still a little warm out there this morning, isn't it? But somebody posted a picture on Facebook of the snow we had, and underneath it said, "I'm not going to complain about the heat." We have very interesting readings appointed for today. And as I continue, you'll realize just how profound those readings have been for me this week. In our first Old Testament reading, we heard the story of David and Bathsheba. Now, most of us know that story, and we know that there were not very good outcomes. However, God was with them all the time, in the good times and in the not so good times. Then in our epistle appointed for today, as I read that and as I listened to it at 8 o'clock and again now, I'm reminded where a lot of our blessings come from. I heard shades of the doxology. If you listen to Scripture, you can learn a lot. And a lot of it is practical stuff. But where we get the prayers we use in our services. Very interesting. However, what I'm going to focus on this morning is the gospel. The gospel wherein we're told that Jesus fed 5,000 people. 5,000 people with a few loaves of bread and a couple of fishes. Pretty amazing story, isn't it? When you think about where they would have been at this time, around the Sea of Galilee, or the Sea of Tiberias, if you will, they believe that this particular incident took place around the Mount of Beatitudes, which makes sense, because if you're on the Mount of Beatitudes and you look down, you can see the sea, and there's a natural amphitheater there. So there would have been lots of space for people to sit and listen as Jesus was healing and teaching and praying. So, loaves and fishes. And with just those few, Jesus fed 5,000. Not only were 5,000 fed, but when Jesus told the disciples to gather up what was left, they were left with 12 baskets. 12 baskets. How many of you have heard of the water walkers? A few people. Well, we were very privileged yesterday to have them here at St. John's. A little bit about the story. This group of walkers, now there's the core group is 4 to 5. It fluctuates along the way depending on the community. People will come out and walk with them for a short while, for a day, whatever time they have to give them. But this core group have been walking since June the 22nd. They've been walking and praying and teaching to bring awareness to the water. the water which is so essential for us for life. This particular walk started in Matane, Quebec, and they're going to finish in Wisconsin sometime in September. They will have been walking every day. There were two grandmothers. The most revered one, I would say, was Grandmother Josephine, and she spoke with us a little bit last night, which was a real privilege. Because you can well imagine these grandmothers having walked all day, and yesterday they walked from Jordan to here. When they arrived in the falls, they went directly to the water to do a ceremony at the water down by the falls, and then came back here so we could feed them. So they had a full day. I'd like you to imagine this. They do have coordinators that coordinate their walks and their route they'll take. They depend on community for everything along the way. So groups of people get together and they'll say, okay, they're close to our community, we'll make lunch today and take it to them. So the lunches are made, brown bag lunch, and taken to the walkers so they don't have to leave their route. When they stop in the evening, we hope we have a place for them to stay. The community looks after them. Last night, they had a great gift in having rooms provided for them. Now, they had to pay for them, but they got them a reduced rate, and they were actually able to sleep in a hotel somewhere. I said to Josephine, I said, you'll rest well tonight. And she said, oh yes, I will. Because along the way, sometimes it's meant they've slept in tents. Or other people's homes, people take them into their homes, and they give them a bed to sleep. They never know, but they are provided for. Now, when you think of the tenacity that these people have to get up every day and walk. As they walk, they share stories and they teach. Whoever comes to join the group, they teach, they walk, they pray. Because this is so important to them, these waters that they're walking. Josephine has been on every walk since 2003. They have walked around each one of the Great Lakes. They have done some other lakes. And this time it was to bring awareness along the St. Lawrence. This walk is specifically to bring awareness to the damage done to our creation by train derailments, which we know can cause fuel spillages, which make their way into the waterways, as well as the ships that ply the Great Lakes. Now, I said to somebody, my husband was a marine engineer, so I know what these ships do. And he used to always say, there's a good way to look after our route, and there's a not so good way. And the not so good way is those ships come in, perhaps from foreign countries or wherever, and they pump their bilges. And that means that oil and sludge is going into our water. So these women and some men are walking to bring awareness and to pray over the water. And it might interest you to know that First Nations people are not the only people who pray over the water. There's other cultures who also pray over the water. In fact, I was told a story of a group of people that gathered around a body of water, and they prayed for the healing of that water, and over time that water was cleansed. So, tenacity, faith, the faith these people have to know each day they're going to get up, they're going to walk, and they're going to have all their needs provided for them. That's faith. So, I've been watching them for a while, and I've been aware of the other walks they've done, and always interested, but kind of watched from afar. So I thought, well, I wonder if there's something that we could be doing here at St. John's. Well, little did I know. It happened very quickly. It turned from providing the bag lunches for their lunch to providing a feast for the walkers and their supporters. This was Thursday. So you can imagine, there wasn't a lot of planning. And First Nations people have a way of doing that. It's not all about the planning. It's about whoever shows up are the people that are supposed to be there. Of course, I need to tell you, I was a little bit nervous because we didn't have any idea how many people would show up. We had numbers between 50 and at one point even I heard 100. But you know, it was just one of those things. The one email I got said, we will be there at 5-ish. 5-ish. We didn't know exactly what time they would arrive. So I provided the beef and the buns for beef on a bun. And then we waited, didn't we, Arlene? And we waited. And we waited. I'm not sure what time they got here. 6? Yeah. It wasn't 5-ish. It was more like 6-ish. And they were exhausted. They were exhausted. The interesting thing, though, is when we started out, we had, I think, 3 of our tables end to end down the middle of the gym. And we had to add another table. We had to add a 4th table because the food just kept coming. The food kept coming and coming. God provides. Now, anyone who's been in the kitchen this morning can tell you the fridge is packed. And that doesn't count how much food we gave people to take home. People were going out of here with bags of food, all kinds of food. If we but have the faith that God will provide. Life is interesting, isn't it? We had some of Sterling's homemade cookies. And there were people from our community that donated some food. There were people that came from St. George's and helped in the kitchen. There were people, lots of people we didn't even know. And we welcomed everyone. And I think that is the most important thing, that everyone was welcome. We prayed together. We broke bread together. There was a drummer, and we sang together. Then as this group was leaving, we somebody noticed they had stopped out here, almost at the front of the church, and they were looking up. Where's Pat? Our resident hawk was there. And they were completely blown away by that, because that is a very spiritual sign that they were being looked after, looked over, watched over, and they left food for the hawk. It's interesting, Pat, how long ago did you notice that hawk here?
I think it was Gary.
Was it Gary?
First noticed it.
Anyway, it's been a while. I call it our resident hawk. And I said, to me, that is a good sign that that significant bird, that spirit, and he or she, we're not sure what it was sitting right at the top, on the top of the cross, right on the top. And they sat there for a while and they marveled over this. And then Josephine got up to go out towards the parking lot, and the hawk watched her, they said, all the way. And it was still there quite late into the evening. And actually it was there again this morning, because after the 8 o'clock service, people went out and they were all looking up, and sure enough, there was the hawk. The Spirit is here. The Spirit is well. That's a wonderful sign for us. A wonderful sign. And what do we learn from these water walkers? We learn to have faith that God will provide. If we all had that kind of faith, just imagine what we could do. More than we could ever ask or imagine, right? We're working on it. We're working on it. And I need to tell you, I believe the Spirit is alive and well in this place. And people are starting to remark about that. People, I don't even know where they came from yesterday, but they said, this place has a warm spirit, a welcoming spirit. And that makes me very proud, because we were able to open our doors, to invite people in, to feed them, and to wish them well on their journeys. And we'll continue. Actually, I thought they were heading north from here, but I just checked the computer before I came out, and it looks like they're heading for Lake Erie. Not sure what they carry a tracker. So you can go, if you key in Water Walkers United, you can see where they're walking on the computer. You can see where they're walking. They will finish, like I said, in Minnesota sometime in September. But imagine to have that kind of tenacity these grandmothers have. And they carry water. They carry water as they walk. And they're praying over that water the whole while. And there's a peace about them. There's a peace. And the only way that I can explain it is that peace that passes all understanding. That kind of peace that comes from within. Knowing that you're doing what God is calling you to do. Not always easy. Not always easy. Can you imagine what the disciples thought when Jesus said, how are we going to feed all these people? And then imagine what they thought when they collected 12 baskets of leftovers. So we haven't seen that near miracles do happen. And for that, I say thanks be to God.